shall we start? How we
I was
doing?
wetting my paint. I'm
Great.
excited.
Where's your paints? Yeah, and you just watch this time, and if this does not record, we'll record a little, lesson and send it to you. So it's okay,
Thank you.
if you're just going to watch instead, because it's really hard to paint and look at something else at the same time. I mean, the computer is just so, opposite of any kind of creative, you know, left brain stuff. But let's sketch these out first, okay? And I want to give you guys sort of a little bit of a drawing lesson, because I always sketch really loosely, and I've got my dark pencil, so I'm hoping that you can see it. So basically, instead of coming in here and trying to do like all the little detail, as much as I can, what I really want is to make sure that I get the whole rooster on the page. I don't want to run out of room. So what it's a very common thing, what they tell you to do, just figure out the shapes, right? So, if I draw we try to figure out what this is. We've got a giant oval right here, where, his head, feathers and chest are. And then, if we draw like a little circle for his head and maybe a little triangle here, we want to make sure that we have enough room, right, to put this, comb on the top of his head. And, you don't have to draw as dark as I see it, I hope. Okay.
Barely. There we go. Whatever you just did, it came into for me. I don't know. It was just moving the paper. It's lagging, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's good.
Hey, that's the thing we got to work on. There's a little tail back here. You kind of see a little tail feather. And, now that I can put a beak on, I can pull this forward a little bit if I want to make it a little bigger.
Hold on, where'd you do this?
Let's, right. He's got, we can put an eye in, circle. And the eye is kind of straight across from the beak.
Oh, an eye, where's the eye?
And we've got these little waddle or whatever it is.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just
want it like squared off or kind of roundish. Okay.
We're gonna simplify it, but also want to just kind of give myself a guide of where the feathers are. So I'm gonna just kind of sketch out like a couple different shapes, like where the different colors are. You see some of these guys kind of go down this way. And there's little ones in this direction. If we look at the negative face, right, you hardly any room. You don't even see the background that much. Who's really taking up the whole picture? And don't, basically we're trying to gauge like, how big we want him on the page, and we want to cover the whole page with him. Like mine, his eye is a little too far, so I'm going to move it over a bit. And I'm not even going to erase. I'm just going to leave the pencil lines. What I'll do is I'll just darken the ones that I like better. And we can always erase later. But yeah, and what we're doing is we're trying to come up with sort of like a coloring book line, something that just shows you where everything is. Fine. I'm skipping his little ear thing. I feel like putting it in. I love that he's got a little bit of blue on his beak. Oh, and while we're doing that, I think I did get to send you some pictures, right, of some other chickens. But let me see, we got a few, I have them all here. Pardon me.
Oh, move that for a minute, please. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, and they're fun, you know. I mean, basically, I've done this a lot for classes, and you know, it's about time that I switched my rooster picture. But this has got a little bit of salt in the background that kind of makes a weird texture. This guy's got some spatter on him. This one was some kind of weird handmade paper.
Nice.
And so, you know, you could put the background in, you don't have to. Here's a unfinished one. A couple more unfinished ones. And one more. Switch up the rooster. We've done it too many times.
I feel like that song. Here comes the rooster. Yeah. Sorry.
They're neat.
Thank you. That's what I needed right there. Can I just see that one for just a minute, please?
Which one?
The one you're drawing. The one you just drew. I just want to. I'm in the middle of that. Yeah, right there. And where his little feathers are going down and around by his belly. Sorry.
And gee, I wonder. Let me take a quick. Let's see if this will let me take a quick picture of it. Okay. We share the screen at the same time. Okay. All right, anyway, I tried to share it with you, but it didn't work. Okay. Start share, yes. Okay. Does that give you a drawing rooster? But it looks like we lost the other share. Okay. Few options. Nope. Does that help a little bit, the picture of the rooster?
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice, Jenny. Thank you. Yes. God.
Here, spotlight for everyone. I'm not sure why that's happening. And make sure you can hear me too. I've got, not sure where the audio is coming from, but anyway. So not a, you know, yeah, I can wait. You guys let me know when you're ready.
I feel like mine's looking like an Easter egg.
Well, he is. He's a huge egg.
When you think about it and it's scribbling, it looks like an egg.
Hey, what came the first, the chicken or the egg?
And for the iPad users, I figured out, maybe because we have an update in our software, I can get it back, but it's down in the right-hand corner where the camera is to see everybody.
To get the gallery view?
Yeah, well, you hit the camera and then you get a plus or minus. And if you say plus, everybody shows up at the bottom for the iPad users.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think it might be because we've maybe got a new upgrade because it is different than what I've previously seen.
There was
Yeah,
yeah, there was a Zoom upgrade just recently.
That helps.
and Jenny, did you say we're better off not to erase on our paper?
Yes, don't erase. Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button here. Where's undo? There's no undo. Option.
Jenny, I'm gonna try to text you mine just so you can see my ugly chicken.
Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe I get the phone. I might be able to get it.
I'm putting it through on your phone, I think, maybe. Let's see if I can find you here, you.
Okay.
Here we go. Funky Rooster coming your way.
Great. All right. All right, I'm going to remove the spotlight, but I think,
Will you draw the crane with us as well later or whenever you do that or no?
I will.
Okay, I'm excited to do both now. I was all crane last week, but now I'm happy with the rooster. He's got a funky chicken wing though.
Options, sorry. Hold, please. I'm trying to get rid of this. Goodness. I have no idea what's happening. Touch to return to Zoom. Well, that's me. But where did our... Okay. Rooster again on the small screen, and I'm gonna try and all right, I'm going to share the desktop again, if possible. There we go. Okay, so it's going to stop one share screen and it's going to show us this one.
Nice. Perfect.
All right. No clue. Okay, you get me a little bit. Okay. Shall we paint this one?
Mhm.
And if we run out of time, we can always do the heron next week too, or the week after, right? So
Okay.
let's take our time. You know, I always just want to disappoint anybody, right? That's my thought of like, let's do them both, but it's okay.
No, yeah, totally. Because if I wasn't sure today when you sent them, should we sketch first or not? I know that sounds odd, but I thought, oh God, should I do the backlash first? You know, and so it's like, just don't even get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, no, you guys are okay. I always just want to do things with you. Yeah, hi dogs.
Hi, Maisie.
Okay, come see me. Come on if you want to see me.
We missed you all week, Maeve.
I got Minnie here too today.
It's the mother.
So here's
I need their boy. Got your friend too. Oh, God. She's beautiful.
she's been wearing her sweater for the last 3 days.
I don't blame her. It's cold outside.
I love. Anyway, oh, stinky. Give it a minute.
It's her Thursday night class, Mom. Come on. She has to say hello.
I said that word. Oh, thank you. All right. Enough. Yeah. Paper. You know what? Ahead of time. Sorry. I said that word, so it's my fault. I'll let you keep drawing. And I'll be right quick as a wink. I won't. Okay. I've been zooming so much. I have to get a new chair. So I could sit at this desk. The dog obviously has realized she gets a treat every time I have a Zoom class. So now we're in big trouble. It's the winter here. Okay, so I've got paper towels out. This one, we don't need to do any kind of masking or anything like that. Let me move my paints over so you can see everything. How about let's mute you guys and you all let me, you can unmute yourself if you have a question. But what I'll do is that will help me for doing the recording here. Of course, I can't find how to mute us all. So, okay, never mind.
We can all mute ourselves.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry. Okay. Oh, let's start. The background is really out of focus. So no reason to worry about that right now. I want to paint things that are lighter first, but I think we're just going to skip the background for the moment, right? It's out of, we don't have to worry. So let's work on the light things, which would be those beautiful feathers. And I'm going to grab some yellow and some water and really thin this out a little bit. And what I'm going to do is kind of just start on the edge here. And I'm using the big round brush. And I'm kind of just going to actually, sort of paint these feathers in with the tip of the brush. And I'm going to look at the way that they are sort of laying here on his neck. So we've got a little bit of yellow there. And now I'm going to grab some burnt sienna and mix a little bit of that up, right? And we still want it fairly thin. But I'm going to come up here. So my paper's dry. And we're just going to paint this in sort of around where the red is. And right, this is wet right now. So let's take a little water out of our brush at the base here. All right, let's try and get it not quite so much in shadow. And let's try this again. So what I'm trying to do is make a few brownish feathers kind of at the top here. I'm going to paint like sort of around the red areas. we can leave a little bit of white, but you see what's happening here is it's bleeding a little too much. It's too wet. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, but I can do the ones down at the bottom.
And what color were you using for that?
I'm actually just using just burnt sienna right now.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. And, you know, we're not going to draw, you know, all the feathers. It's just sort of, we're just going to sort of put them in a little bit and grab some water. And I'm just using just the very tip of the brush. I'm sort of holding it straight up and down. And then we're going to leave that for the moment. And then let's pick another area here. So while this is drying, yeah, it's actually okay to have things sort of bleed a little bit. So if we're okay, let's grab a little bit of purple. But remember how
You are a fast painter.
nth time is the charm.
Exactly.
I could paint it in my sleep. Not really. Okay, so I'm thinning out a little bit of purple. And I'm going to put some of these feathers down. And I'm going to try and sort of paint kind of in between some of these. And then I see that these feathers sort of go in this direction. So let's see, you know, I'm trying to put it on fairly wet. And maybe it looks like I see a little, oh, you know what? I was going to put in some alizarin crimson, but let's put in the opera pink instead. We'll just make them all, or whatever you would like, but let's get them really kind of glowing there. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, after the, I think your burnt sienna, what color did you move on to?
Oh, I grabbed some purple. Like this is just the two colors. It's just burnt sienna and the
Yeah,
gamboge.
got that.
And I'm gonna let that dry.
And then you just did purple after that.
Some purple and I put a little bit of opera pink in at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Why? Like what's
Did you mix them together or afterwards? Oh,
sort of put them on at the same time. Like I put the purple on and then I added the pink while it was drying.
okay, sorry. I had my head down trying to get.
Hey, that is okay. Yeah, that's what's so tricky about this. But this is, again, just the first layer, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of blocking in the colors a little bit and we're going to let it dry and then we'll be able to add some more things. Let's see. The nice thing is this round brush is perfect for painting feathers. Then we got these blue ones down below. And they almost look a little turquoise. So let's see if we can mix a turquoise with some cerulean blue and some sap green. Maybe even, let's go, what is that? It's ultramarine. That's a little trickier. Prussian would work too. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and I know there's like a little area here where it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to start, and it looks like I want these feathers to maybe come down a little bit. So that's not a problem. So I've added some color. I'm even dropping a little. You know, this is basically the.
So what color did you use right there?
So I mixed a little cerulean with some leaf green. And that made kind of a turquoise. But we also have our Prussian blue, if I can find it. Where's my Prussian blue? There's the Prussian. Okay, so let's try a little Prussian blue also, because it's almost perfect. And here's the silly thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start just drawing like these little feather shapes. And then I'm gonna clean my brush and just have water. And I'm kind of just gonna sort of fill them in with a little bit of water. Maybe I can leave some little white bits. This part of his chest is kind of in the sunshine, but I don't even think we care about that. We're just gonna paint it. Let's just paint it in. You know, if you want, you could add a little brown to that, the burnt sienna over there. You see that? Let's see. Just maybe put a little bit in, and while the blue is still drying. You know, we got to remember everything dries later. So we want to make this worthwhile when we're painting here. All right, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to start adding a few more of these. Now I'm just using the Prussian. I like the Prussian better. And then I'm just going to come and wet these guys again. But so I've got to make sure that I, you know, wet them before they start to dry, before the edge starts to dry. And it does, you know, even though I'm using Prussian, that doesn't mean we can't put something else in too. And let's try a little. This is just some leaf green. That's kind of pretty too. If I put it in while it's wet, right, it's going to sort of mix together a little bit. It's kind of fun. And we've got our sap green too. So maybe a few of these are green. Wet them again. And maybe this time we add the blue to them. So these guys are green with the blue added, and up here we've got blue with the green added. So they're going to look a little different. Like a peacock. I could do that next. Just draw here. You know, often if I'm doing something, I will draw the outside edge of it. You know, just trying to put these feathers in. And then just add water to kind of soften everything up. Nose. So this is very wet, but looking really nice. Just because we use so much water. And while it's dry, right, while the paper is dry, then it only goes where you've wet the paper. So we don't have all that blooming like we get when we're working wet on wet. So this is one way to get a little more control, just by wetting certain areas. You know, and it's also perfectly okay if a little bit of the outside line stays, right? That's okay also. Let's see. You might even want to go back in and add some of the lines later. Let's see, we got a blue feather down here. So I'm just going to put a couple of those on. There's a few blue feathers, not too many. I don't even know what kind of rooster this is. I'm embarrassed to say. I have to research my poultry. There's a fantastic video out on the poultry contests that they have out in the Midwest. You know, like 4-H fairs and things, but like just all, you know, chicken contests. And I'll try and find the name of it for you. Let's see if I can send you the link while you're working on this. It was very sweet and funny. So I'm also coming in, I'm adding the brown here to the back of them. All right. Let me know if you've got any questions or you want me to slow down or anything like that, okay? So I've got this brown on my brush and the top here is almost dry. So I'm going to come in and give it another layer. You know, I don't want to cover everything up that I've already put down, but I want to darken it a bit. And it's too tight, right? You can add feather this up. Feather, feather it up. Adding the brown down here. You know, because we want to make them nice and old looking, right? We want them to have a lot of color. You might even put a little yellow ochre here. Now remember, it's really opaque, right? So you got to add a little water. But let's put a little bit of yellow ochre in these top feathers too. I don't want to cover all the bright yellow, but a little wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it sort of. Let's just see how it dries here a bit. Little ochre, maybe I can use this on the feathers down here. So often I'll just put a little paint on and then I go for the water and I kind of fill things in with water. And that's what makes it nice and transparent, right? So we can put a you know, we also used the burnt sienna over here, and burnt sienna and ultramarine go really well together. So if I take some ultramarine and put it on top of this burnt sienna, it's going to work as kind of a nice shadow color. Some of those others. A little more brown in here. You know, and don't do too much, right? You want to let the water move things around. You want to kind of watch it while it's drying, see what kind of nice things are happening. I'm going to go back in and kind of darken the purple up a little bit. It's still a little wet. Now maybe we'll try a little of the crimson. There's a little alizarin crimson and some purple. Oh, no, I put too much on. I'm going to take it off. So I always have that paper towel ready just to get rid of things if I don't like them. try a few more. Just want to darken the things up a little. So we'll put a little of the dark purple on. And then clean my brush off and just kind of sort of wet, like right near those lines. A little more opera pink. Now I'm looking at it and I see that they come down a little further. So let's make them a little longer. Yeah. Okay. That, what I often do is like if I've got a color on my brush, right? So we've just done this purple and this pink, and I'm looking here and I see, well, maybe the purple and pink would look nice over here too. So I'm going to add some over to the brown there. Kind of a weird bloom going, but it's okay. Or we can blot it if you want. Work on these guys. Put a few more brown feathers down at the bottom. Is he a bantam, maybe? Bantam rooster? I'll check.
No, he'd be more like a Rhode Island red. I hate to say it.
Oh, if he was a bantam?
No, a bantam is like the side. Yeah, maybe, but I've never seen one quite those colors. I used to have a whole bunch of bantams and a whole bunch of Rhode Island reds. He'd be more like a Rhode Island red rooster to me, but I could be totally wrong too. There maybe is a Mexican. I don't know. Maybe there's a Spanish rooster that's got the purples and all. I don't know. I'm gonna mute myself again, people.
Okay, no problem. There's some amazing chickens out there. Okay, so I've just gone through and I've added some more feather lines here, but I'm I'm going to basically get rid of them. Just kind of put it in to sort of darken things up a little bit. And I'm gonna. I liked what that green did, so I'm putting the green in again. I mean, these feathers are basically, are iridescent. So, we're trying to kind of duplicate that, which is awful tricky. But, you can use all your blues, right? Here's a little cerulean on top of some of these. The thing is, you just want to make sure that it's sort of drying before you kind of go, and keep adding more things. Okay, so I'm ready to kind of turn this around. And I'm going to turn my picture around also. Let's see if I can get that good. And how about I try and zoom in a little bit? Let's see, because I want to work on his head. Back here. Okay, good. So often I will turn things upside down when I'm trying to paint because it's much easier to kind of see the shape of things when you're not sort of looking at it. Your brain, translates things differently when they're upside down. So I'm going to use our bright red. Oh, let's add a little yellow to it though. And I'm just going to paint a circle of orange on where his eye is. And just kind of leave that. I might take this orange though and put it out here. A little bit on there, but maybe we blot that so it's not quite so dark. Then I'm going to grab, let's grab some alizarin crimson and some opera pink. So I'm taking the crimson and the opera pink. I don't want to use the bright red because it's really quite orange. So because I've just wet, this is orange right here. I'm gonna take this, let's thin it out a little bit and make it a little less dark. So I am just gonna paint this shape in. And right, it's a sort of bleeding a little bit in places. And what I'm gonna do
I'm
is,
sorry again, was that the red and what color?
I use the alizarin crimson and some opera pink.
Oh, alizarin crimson, thank you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
gotta remember all the colors.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be, the orange red is going to be okay too. Let's drop a little of that in. There we go. That kind of works also. So I'm going to let you guys decide kind of like what color you want. The bright red is fine also. You can sort of put them both in together. And we're not paying attention to this, the Cark's comb. We're just guessing here. I didn't actually count how many, whatever. But there's what I'm trying to do is get a couple of different reds in there. And if it's too dark, let's see, we can always blot it, right? And add a little bit more. Come on. Let's see. Let's just try. Here's the pink. Oh, what the heck? I'm going to put the pink in now. Pink Rooster. Like the ones at the fair. Okay. How we doing? Hope everybody's good. Okay, so while that's happening, let's move out a bit. I'm going to leave it upside down here. And I'm going to work on these feathers, but I think I might switch and use the big flat brush. So, see a little bit of blue here. Oh, I guess that's purple. And then I'll clean my brush off. And let's try that yellow ochre. Be a little burnt sienna. But what's so great about this brush is, I can use it on the side and just kind of draw a straight line. But it will also give me kind of a, a feather look if I want. So I'm going from this line out, and you can connect them, it's okay, but let's see, that's kind of what we were looking for. And then I'm going to grab a little blue, the ultramarine maybe, or whatever you've got. This kind of looks a little turquoisey. And just kind of do that side. There's a little here, so we can add some in. We can darken that up later. Just let it dry for now. Now let's turn him back over and see how he looks. Oh, it's nice. Handsome. the trick is painting upside down. That's the whole, the big trick. Let's grab a little more ultramarine. And I'm gonna put some here at the top of his beak. And then just put some water on. We'll just leave that basically. Let's see, we want to drop a tiny bit more on. A tiny bit more. Okay. Yeah. Bring that up a little bit more to where the comb is. Actually, we should move the comb down a little bit. It almost sits right on his beak. It's pretty funny. So I'm going to bring that down a little. You know, we can add some shading later. That's okay. Yeah. Add the dark around his eye a little later. That's pretty good. Any questions? Edwina?
And I've got a question.
Great. Tell me, what's up?
Okay, you go between colors very, very quickly. Do you just wipe your brush off in between? Do you put it in water and wipe it? What's the best way?
Yeah, you can't see, I've got 2 containers of water right here at my desk. And I always, you know, I'm used to going in and quickly cleaning my brush off between colors. So absolutely, you want to do that. Especially if you're going back and forth from, you know, yellow to blue or, you know, dark to light. What's helpful is having your palette out with, you know, all these little sections that have the colors already there. So that makes it also easy to kind of switch back and forth between colors. But yes, that's a great question. So definitely, you know, and I always try to use a clean brush too when I'm going into the new colors, when I'm adding new paint. Because, you know, you want that yellow to stay yellow on your palette, and it has a tendency to turn green very quickly if you don't clean your brush off. But while he's drying, I think I'm gonna use my big flat brush and maybe put in a little bit of a background. So I'm gonna grab some leaf green here. Now I could wet this if I wanted to, but you know, it's such a small area. What I'm gonna do is try and just use a very big brush. And I'm also going to leave a little white in between the rooster and the background, so he looks a little more sketchy. But let's see, we're gonna put the green in over here. Looks like he's in a nice field, right? So we're gonna try and have that line sort of meet up on both sides. And it looks like that is almost right in the middle. So I think I'm gonna move it up a little bit because I don't necessarily want my horizon line right in the middle. But I've just cleaned my brush again, and I'm gonna take a little darker green, and I'm going to start painting. Ugh, that's a terrible green. Okay, let's mix a little blue in here. You know, all right, there's a little blue. A little Prussian. So we're gonna leave some white around there, but I'm also I'm gonna hit the light green while it's still wet. So we're gonna get a line that's gonna be blurry. You know, and you can, you know, keep turning this too while you're painting. But this is a really nice, you know, that big flat brush is great because you can come in and get, you know, pretty close to things. And you can see I haven't gone back to get any more paint. So that's good. Actually, I am right now, but it holds a lot of water, this brush. And this does not have to be all the same color either, right? I'm using a little cerulean now. So I'm taking my time, right? We want to hit that. And then, you know, sometimes you angle the brush. Leave a few bits of white. That's always good. Right? One thing I always forget. But we're just putting in a lot of water here. A little white space. Now I got a big puddle right here. So I'm going to pick it up and sort of have gravity move that around a little bit. Kind of watch it. Pick it up and pull it around. I even have a bubble. That's pretty exciting. Don't usually get a bubble. So, you know, I don't want to blot this because I'll lose my color. Oh, dogs. Nobody's here. There's a pandemic. Anyway. So we're going to watch this. It's okay. It's, you know, sort of moved a little down there. That's all right. If we want, we can make this even more out of focus by, I'm going to drop some water in here and kind of make some blooms on purpose. Right. And we'll see. What we want is, you know, a little kind of irregular background. If I pick it up, I'll kind of lose them. So I should probably just let it be flat and see what it does. But, you know, sometimes it's perfectly okay to put on a lot of water and then just let things dry. In fact, let's brush out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just introduce a tiny bit more water to the green, the light green, so that the paint kind of keeps going in that whole area there. In fact, I like the light green a lot better than the dark green that I put down. So I think I'm going to put some of the lighter green up in here, and we'll just let it kind of look a little like foliage or something. All right, it's all wet. It's going to move around. We're not going to be able to see what it is. But, you know, if you can leave that line in between the little white edge, then that'll keep, you know, the background separate from your chicken. Now, if I move this too much, I'm going to lose, right? It's all going to blend together. So I should probably leave it. Although I kind of like this dark edge happening on the other side there. Okay, now we're going to leave it. You can also prop it up if you want. Now, here's a bloom that's happening, right? So that's a pretty common thing, and people usually don't like them. So what's happening is I added a lot of water to this area here, but this section had already dried. And so the paint is not going any further out. So if I take just a clean brush and sort of drag a tiny little bit of water over, that bloom will kind of dissipate a little bit. You don't want to touch the bloom or anywhere, you know, back here, because the paint will just come right off. But you can add it to the dry area. And that will help a little bit. Now, we also got this our little flat too. Let's see what that does. I'm gonna keep turning this so I don't stick my hand in it while I'm painting. Try and get a little bit of darker. So let's see what this little flat does. Kind of feather things out. You could use just the narrow side of it. It's a good brush for this. And I'm going to be careful about this side because all of that dark green right there. I have to make sure, well, you know, if I hit it, maybe that's okay. A little bit in there. All right, I'm going to clean my brush again. And now maybe try and soften these a little. I'm just dragging them up with a little extra water.
What color are you using there?
That's the ultramarine.
Ah.
Or blue, or one of our dark blues. Just the one in the corner. Should be in the corner.
Yep.
Mhm. So you can see I did hit the green right here. And what's happening is the green is coming in to that, you know, to the tail feathers. And it turns out I like it. So I'm hitting the green in a couple other areas. And I think, let's see if maybe we can move the green in, excuse me, to the blue feathers here. A little. Sometimes it's okay if the background kind of blends in. It's a good thing. We've got a big puddle here, so I'm going to pick that up a little bit, move that around. You know, we want it to look like a watercolor, right? So we're not really going for a rendering. We're trying to do a painting that's got a lot of, you know, interesting colors and an interesting mix of colors. White is not quite dry because I put so much paint on it. But now, as things have dried, right, I've kind of lost a few of my dark areas, right? I didn't quite get them. So I'm going to go back in. And I think I'm just going to use let's just try the purple and see what that does. So we're going to take some water out of here. And all the paint is just at the tip of the brush. I'm going to come in and just sort of darken areas to give us a little bit more depth here. So, you know, it really looks like the yellow feathers are on top of the purple and blue feathers. And I can sort of pull this along a little bit. like silhouette in certain areas, I can kind of add a little bit of adding the outside edge of the feathers here. Maybe they're a little, you know, if we want to show something's a little darker, you know, rather than adding just more of the same color, you want to add kind of a, you know, give your shadows some interest by putting in a different color, like the purple or thing. It's just because I'm addicted to purple. So I do like purple or shadows or blue shadows. They are kind of fun. Okay, so here's a little thinner purple up here to kind of make some shadows. And I think we can also try some here, right? What I'm gonna do is just try and give yourself, you know, paint a nice long line that kind of looks like it's going in the same direction as those feathers. And you only need a few to kind of indicate what's happening there. Maybe we thin it out a little bit and we do a few more. But you know, the more layers we do, the more depth, the more you know, interesting he's gonna look. Let's try a little bit of the purple down here. So, you know, if you're putting a darker color like a purple on something else, you know, it's not going to look purple. In fact, here's the burnt sienna, so it kind of turns a little red, sort of. Nice. That's why we're doing this sort of glazing kind of thing. And again, it's still okay to leave some white, right? The white is always interesting, always really, you know, it brightens things up so much. And I almost always forget to leave some. So I have to, it actually helps me if I tell you guys to leave it, because then I remember. Let's turn him upside down once more. Let's see if we can get that time. That's tricky because we really only have our one brush here, which is a 12 and pretty big. So, you know, there are smaller brushes and you can certainly go out, excuse me, and get some if you'd like. But this was, you know, these are great brushes, and we're able to give you 3, which is terrific. So, okay, if I hold this almost straight up and down, I can give myself a little bit of a dot in the middle. And then again, let's take some more water out of here. And, you know, this is a little tricky. Breathe. Line on it. I'm going to bring my brush out. It's almost too crisp, so I'm going to add a little water. You can even use this to make a little bit of some shading on this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, turn them back over. Let's see how it looks. They always come out different, right? It's always, it's never the same and it's never perfect. So that's okay. All right, here's a little Payne's gray. I'm actually getting quite a bit darker. Give him some character. Um,
Sure didn't look like hers.
All right, back to my things. No, that's the person. Gray. We can define a few of these, maybe just a few darker feathers. All these lights on, and I think that that's what's making my paper dry so fast. Yeah, so that's letting me have a, a little more detail by adding just a couple bits of Payne's gray to things to darken them up a little bit. And we're almost kind of like sketching, like I'm literally drawing with the brush. But now it's pretty wet, so I should stop soon. Let it dry. Let's see what we got here. We should have done a turkey. I'm sorry. I haven't done a turkey. It'd be fun. Well, next year. Right. I think it looks okay. Where are we? I leave pencil lines. I don't even take them off. You can use an eraser afterwards, but like after it's all dried. But I consider them part of the painting. So, very often I just keep them on there unless they're really obvious and annoying. But generally just stay there. Yeah. So any questions? Let me see if I can unpin this perhaps.